You're listening to She's Got Drive podcast, the podcast that inspires women to be the driver in their own life with the life and stories of Black women with drive. And I'm your host, Shirley McAlpine. I'm a business consultant, an executive coach, and a leadership facilitator, working with people and organizations live their lives by design and not default. And this is the She's Got Drive show. This is what's been driving me this week. In this episode, I share with you what is the main thing that is occupying my mind, my energy, my time, and my spirit, the thing that is inspiring me, that is giving me life, or the thing that might be driving me crazy. And in the She's Got Drive show, I share with you what I'm doing about it and the strategies that I'm using, the thing that is guiding me in all parts of my life. So if you want to find out how I can how I take on a change in my own life, or actually maybe even a transformation, you have come to the right place. Now this week, welcome. The what's been driving me this week is the what's been driving all of us this week, which is COVID-19, which is coronavirus, which is otherwise known as Rona, is driving me this week as it's impacting everyone. I don't think there is anyone who isn't impacted by Rona. We're going to call her Rona, or it Rona right now, because it has us all in a place of worry, anxiety, concern, and fear. Yes. And whilst I'm making sure that I'm keeping informed from what I call quality news outlets, I'm grateful. I'm sitting in huge gratitude for the humor and the memes this week that has also emerged, and the stories of community and just like standing for your fellow person, the stories of humanity that are also emerging from, like, Italy, for example, who is really being devastated by this at the moment. But I'm just so grateful for the humor and the memes that's just lightening it a bit for me, and in something that is so extraordinary, in something that feels so heavy. Like, how do we navigate our way through this unknown territory, and how do we stay in it? How do we stay in it and deal with it and confront it without and managing our overwhelm around it? That's the questions that's kind of been floating around for me. You know, in our concern, we have a concern for our families, a concern for our communities, a concern for our, people globally. It truly is. Italy, it's just truly heartbreaking. It's just so heartbreaking. And it leaves me speechless when I get present to it. And if anyone is doubting that what's happening and the impact of corona virus and the impact of it and the decisions that the healthcare system in Italy is having to make these days, is just unspeakable. If you want to really understand how devastating this can be, then I think honing in on Italy, because, and why I'm saying Italy and not China right now, is because China's emerging out the other side, and statistically have done better than what's happening in Italy, if you look at the stats. And so I think what that's doing is leaving people with some complacency around what this is, because they're like, well, China's out of it and they're emerging and like that, but they took some drastic measures to do that. And so Yeah. So it's huge. So we're all in the world, or whether you're in the world reluctantly, or whether you are leaning into the world of social distancing, as the strategy for managing this virus. It does make me think of our emotional and our mental and our spiritual well-being, and thinking about people, particularly people were having a really difficult time with the social distancing, mainly because it might be because home is not a haven. Home is not a safe haven for everybody. And in fact, work and school can sometimes be, or colleges, wherever the thing that takes you out of your house, for some people is their respite from home. And I'm mindful of that. I'm feeling grateful that, as I say to my children, as we hunker down in our home, that number one, we actually like being together. We love each other. Life is safe here together. It's peaceful. We are a family with resources in many ways, not just financial, but how we are with one another. Um, and so it makes it a more doable thing. We like to be together, right? And so, but not everyone has that. So I'm really thinking of those people. My heart goes out to those people. I think about them. And so whilst I also know that people resist change, and change causes lots of upset. And so the resistance to change is meaning that some people are not really social distancing. They're not really following the guidelines, or grappling with understanding exactly what that means. So much is driving me this week. So much is driving us this week. The why I say what's been driving me this week, it's an important thing to distinguish in this moment, because it is when those things go unlooked at, it will drive your behavior, and are you being intentional about your behavior in your life? So unless we can see what's behind the thing that's driving our behavior, so obviously our reaction to coronavirus is driving our behavior. Our reaction to COVID-19 is driving our behavior, whatever it is. And so unless you're willing to take a pause, your emotions will guide your behavior versus having a response to it. And it doesn't mean that the emotions aren't there, but can we manage our emotions, and how much can we manage our emotions in this time? So let's take a breath. I'm really praying for it, for all of us. I'm praying for all of you, and sending love to all of you and your families and your communities, so that we have strength to deal with this, and that we come out of it the other side, because we will come out of it the other side. We just don't know when that will be, but we'll come out of it the other side as stronger individuals and stronger communities, and having learned the lesson that it's here to teach us. Only in that my stance is always that there is a lesson in everything. We just don't know what that lesson is. So I've been trying to figure out how I could be helpful. Is one of the things that's been my response. I've been pausing and thinking, how can I be helpful in this moment? What can I offer? What can I do? And that's supportive. So I've decided a couple of things in terms of my She's Got Drive podcast and the She's Got Drive community, and the people that I touch and I impact. And the first thing is, I decided to start sending out daily She's Got Drive love notes. And these are just kind of love quotes and messages that comes into your inbox each day. And so if you already ever downloaded anything from me and signed up for my newsletter or signed up for something on my website, you'll automatically have started to receive these just a couple of days ago. And then my daily love notes to you. Just to remind, just sending love in to you every day, as love as a healer. And I feel so grateful to my She's Got Drive community. So I kind of wanted to see what I could offer you. And that's what I came up with. If you're not signed up for my newsletter, if you haven't already received the She's Got Drive daily love note, then if you go to shirleymcalpine.com/love, that's shirleymcalpine.com/love, you can sign up for my daily love notes. And the link is going to be in the show notes as well. So if you click on the link, you can sign up for that and they'll start coming into your inbox. The other thing that I thought I'd do is that I'm going to delve into, I have a look at the She's Got Drive podcast vault to see, I'm at 96 episodes, something like that now, and to see which of those episodes might be helpful in this moment and start to kind of repost those. So those episodes will be coming out, in the following weeks as we move through this, and to see what ones could be helpful and how, and any kind of resources that I can provide to support you in various ways. And I've got another resource for you in this podcast today. I'm just trying to think of what I can do what I can share with you to support you. So that's, There's lots of pauses in this one. Lots of pauses. You have to pause. With this. It's so extraordinary. It's so extraordinary, really, that it's requiring so much from each of us. I'll be trying to think of, I'm also thinking of any kind of programs or other kinds of podcasts, new podcast episodes, or any other kind of offerings that I can give that may be helpful, that helps with the emotional management of this time, some tools around that, and how I can encourage well-being at this time. So for this episode, I thought for today I'd share what myself and my family are doing, so that there might be ideas in there that you can do yourself. If you listening to the approach that I'm taking, some of the things that we're doing, then maybe there might be something in there that you think, oh, I've not thought of that. Perhaps I can do that and start doing it. Like that. That's what I thought we'd do in today's episode. Okay. I want to say the first thing that we have stood for in our family is a commitment to do what works, even if it's not what we want to do or we feel like doing. That's doing what works, even if it's not what we want to do or feel like doing. So what do I mean by that? For example, social distancing. Is it what we want to do? Is it what we feel like doing? Nope and no. Spending time with the family. I love my family, spending time with my family. Spending time, having time not traveling. Yeah, that's cool. Not going out as much as, not stepping out and meeting up with friends or having a coffee or doing my client work and doing my facility. No, of course, that isn't what I want it to be. It's, like everyone, business-wise, work-wise, it's had a huge impact. And, but it's what works. It's the thing that has demonstrated what works. So that's what we're doing. We're doing what works. And we're figuring out the best way, the best means of doing what works. I'm going to, in the show notes, there's going to be a link to an article which describes what social distancing is. And that was helpful for me. Is that social distancing is not a snow day was the article that I read, which really clearly outlined for me what social distancing is and what it's not. And in that clarity and understanding, then it was like, well, that's what there is to do. So we're following the guidelines. The second thing we're doing, of course, is in terms of doing what works, we're following the guidelines. And, you've probably read it, seen it, washing your hands and not touching your face. And when you're out and about, using hand sanitizer, but the frequency of washing your hands as well, the timing of washing your hands, like all of that, following the guidelines around that. And the third is keeping informed on what all of this means, keeping up to date on the information. But I want to say that I am managing how much I read, what I watch on this, and where I get my information from. I'm tightly managing that, because you cannot watch the news all day. You cannot keep reading all the articles all the time. You cannot track the numbers every single hour on the hour. If you start to do that, you'll drive yourself crazy. And so it's like, how do I manage my mental well-being? And one of the biggest ways of managing my mental well-being is managing the information that comes in about it, staying on top of it and staying informed, but not over consuming it, because it leads to overwhelm, and it leads to kind of escalating any notions of fear and feelings of fear. So that's the first thing. And that's like, because this is what we're dealing with. So like, in terms of a response to what we're dealing with, that was the first thing. The second thing is all about really inside of the space of self-care, 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 self-care. And it's kind of like linked to the last point that I said. First and foremost, so managing my mental well-being, I've explained, like, that's one example, managing my mental well-being. Managing my physical well-being is the other thing that I need to be focused on. Managing, and so I'm thinking about what I'm eating and making sure that I'm eating things that builds my immune system, not undermines my immune system. So at this time, when people are under stress, one of the things they do, when they stress eat, they usually reach for things which undermine the immune system, which at this time is not what we want to do. We want to make sure that our immune system is strong. So are you eating the things that support your immune system, that boost your immune system? Or are you eating and drinking things that undermine it? And I'm not saying don't have anything sweet or don't have a cake or don't, but are you eating the things are you having it in balance? Are you doing the things that works in terms of that, your health and well-being? So the physical health. I'm exercising. I'm no longer obviously able to go to the gym that I normally go to. I'm no longer having my coaching sessions that I normally have. So, but I am maintaining my strength building. I am lucky enough there is a gym in my building, which is, I want to say, fairly underused. Generally, it's a very small gym. I get up there, go there early in the morning. No one else is in the gym usually at the time that I go, and but it looks like that might close. So if that does close, then I'll go to body weight exercises and then running outside when weather permitting. So I'm focused on maintaining my exercise, maintaining my movement, and of course, the more we're in, if we don't have bursts of time when we're out doing exercise, that is going to impact us as well. So another aspect of self-care is let's focus again talk about the mental well-being now as well. So in addition to managing the input of like information around COVID-19, the other thing is to allow time for self-reflection, is to give space for thinking about how am I doing, checking in. How am I doing? What do I need? taking a breath and really allowing yourself to tune in and figure out what this all means for you and what is it that you need to do. Who do you need to be? Like that. Am I getting enough downtime, creating some downtime to allow the mental wellness to be managed? I'm sorry, I'm jumping around. One of the that pops into my mind that, of course, getting enough sleep is so critical at this time as well. And around our mental well-being, noticing the inner conversation that we're having with ourselves about what's happening. So, for example, just like many other people, my work's been impacted and I've lost work. I've either lost it, it'll either be gone, or it might come back later in the year. It might be, it's more like a postponement, some of them, but some of them might be gone. And now I can go into the worried well with that and just go deep into that. And it's not that I'm not concerned about my work in any way. I am, of course. But in just stepping into fear around that and then going into the worry well is unhelpful. It doesn't forward anything. It doesn't allow me to be creative and inventive about what else I could be doing. What it does, it just stops me. So, but that's because I can tune into my inner conversation that is going to be like, what is the conversation that I'm having with myself? And is it an empowering conversation or is it a disempowering conversation? So there's that, right? Tuning in to the conversations. And there's a number of other things. And that's also a way of starting to take care of my emotional well-being. I'm doing something like I have these wisdom cards that I use, that I choose a card every day. And there's a message in the wisdom card for me to take on, to stand in, to reflect on. And that's an empowering practice. Prayer is an empowering practice. Intention is an empowering practice. Making sure that I'm in conversations with my friends and my family about what's happening. Making jokes about it. Humor for me is a way of managing my emotional well-being too. And it doesn't diminish the significance of it, but it can lighten the load. So it can bring me some joy. So, there's many things that we can be doing around our self-care. And those are just some of them. So what I decided to do is I've got a self-care inventory that I have in my Execute Your Dream course. And so I've taken the self-care inventory and I'm making it available to you. It's just like 4 sides of A4 for you to, you can download the self-care inventory. You can complete it, and in completing it, you can it does one or two things. It helps you identify the things that you're doing really, really well around your self-care, and the things that perhaps you can get better at. And the second thing that it can do is it gives you ideas then of things that you can do to improve on your self-care, and the things that it might give you some points of reflection on things that you could stop doing. If it's, so for example, if you're only getting 4.5 hours of sleep, it's not enough sleep. So if you assess that on the inventory, you're not getting enough sleep, then you're like, oh, okay, then I can take that on. I can make sure that I'm getting more sleep. Sleep is healing. Sleep is like transformational. As I've told you before, one of my duvet days, for those of you who've listened to me in the past or listened to previous episodes, I'm a huge proponent of making sure you get your hours of sleep, the good hours of sleep in the night. So there's that. Okay. So the self-care inventory is available at shirleymcalpine.com/self-care. That's shirleymcalpine.com/self-care. That's quite a lot of S's in that. And so you can download that, and then complete it, and then you can get to work on improving your self-care. It's so important in this time. The link for that is also going to be in the show notes. So let me just focus in on, I've talked about my food. One of the things I didn't say about my food, in terms of healthy eating, and if I repeat myself, am I repeating myself? I don't know. Well, I feel a bit rambly today. There's so much I want to give you. This is like the longest What's Been Driving Me This Week episode, right? Because they usually are short, but doesn't feel very short today. However, I just want to make sure that I give you what I got, And if you don't know that sugar undermines your immune system, that's the thing to watch. Don't go down the eating lots of sugar route, amongst other things. Manage that. Okay. So we're cooking. I mean, I'm at home, so I get to cooking more balanced, healthy meals, spending more time like that. I have to say, because, as I said, there's a gift in everything. The gift of us being able to, as a family, sit down at a table together and eat in the weekday is like, I cannot tell you the last time that we've had that, if it wasn't Christmas or something. Usually when we're on holiday we get to do that, but when we're not on holiday we don't have that as an experience. So that's really been such a gift that we get to kind of do that. Every night seems to be a movie night at the moment as well. I've talked about exercise, of course, keeping it moving, and you must find a way to do that, stepping out out to nature. So whilst we're social distancing, you're still okay to go outside. You just have to go outside with your peeps. That's it, or yourself, and making sure you go for walks, find a park, and be in a park, be in nature, touch the ground. Allow yourself to not to be always cooped up inside a building. One of the things that we did that I think was so important for us as a family, as we are navigating this, and I think we'll continue to do this. I know we'll continue to do this. We had a family meeting. I don't know. We have family meetings from time to time in our family. And in the family meeting, we were just wanting to check in, first of all, on each other to see how we're feeling, how we're doing, what we feel about what's happening, and us as parents sharing that, allowing the children to share what's going on for them and their thoughts about it and any questions that they might have about what's happening, so that we can address those questions as best we can. As parents are sharing with our kids what we feel like this means for us as a family in terms of our resources and moving forward, how we manage our resources in a more tight way, like how we manage off the food and the things that we brought into the house during this time, and that given what's been going on in supermarkets and so on, it means that not everything is you can't automatically assume you're going to get something when you go back into the shop, because it can be not there, so we have to just manage what we're doing much tighter, and that they can understand that, and how they understand that, and any questions they have about that, as what, sharing that without eliciting any huge fear around it, so managing any fear that might emerge around that too. But we talked about that. We talked about social distancing and what that means, so we can clarify that. We talked about how hard, we recognize how hard it is for them not being able to be with their friends in the same way, but but we are lucky in this time that we have things like FaceTime and Skype and all of those, WhatsApp and all of those things that allows us to virtually connect. We talked about the gift, as I said, that the time that we have together is a gift that we have often complained that we don't have enough of, and now we're going to have probably too much of. But we talked about that. Now, of course, the kids we're now in e-learning, now being schooled through home. So we talked about how we were going to approach that. There was agreements about, we have some guiding principles on how we work around that, where the work takes place, how long they work, breaks, etc., and how we support them and how we manage to do it whilst we also do work at home. I am clear that I have older children that makes it simpler in a way to do that than those who have got younger kids. But we had that's what we did at our family. We talked about how that was going to work, and we did it because agreeing some guiding principles is one of the things that brings workability, what we call workability in it, that allows it to work for all of us, and acknowledging that it has to work for all of us because we've all got things we need to do during the day. And I want to say, shout out to my children who have been phenomenal this week in two ways: how they've responded to what's happening, phenomenal, and how they've responded to their schoolwork, getting on with it. Very, very #proud mum right now. There's been very little drama in our house around it, and a couple of testing the boundaries around how it works, but ironed out really simply. And we come to the end of the week, end of our first week of e-learning, and I feel like, my children have done so well. So as I said, #proud mum. And we will continue to do check-in and family meetings to see how we're doing and to see how things are progressing. And I think our ability to really listen to one another, I'm not saying it's always been perfect so far, but I think I would give us good marks out of 10. I'd say I'll give us a 7 out of 10 for listening to one another this week. I really do. But let's see. Let's check me out in, 3 weeks and see. Or 2. If we're listening to that level, but it requires intention. And of course, Dan and I are checking in on each other and having conversations about what we feel like it means and how we're each doing and what's going on in our work and stuff like that. So that's what we've been doing as a family. And of course, one big thing is we've reviewed our finances and seen the impact that it's having, and to see what would be our course of action in the event of blah, 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 fill in the blanks, And we've had that finance conversation with our children, not with the depth of detail that myself and Dan have, but we are sharing with the kids. As I said, I've got older children who are 16 and 12, but we are sharing with the children enough to allow them to treat them with the intellect that they have and allow it, giving them the context so they can be responsible along with us as we navigate this as a family. So we've also had the conversation about money and what does that mean in these times too. And of course, the final thing that I want to talk about is the impact it's had on my business and how I'm approaching that. And I think there's kind of 3 or 4 things. One is my team, checking in on my team, making sure my team's cool. I speak to them regularly, almost every day. We are still doing work, of course, but just making sure that things are happening, what's happening in their world, how they're responding, listening, and being as helpful as I can in that situation. I'm keeping in contact with my clients. I'm sensitive to being flexible in terms of what they need and seeing how we can adjust the work, etc. I'm looking at how I can provide support to them in any way that I can, and of course adapting anything to virtual work that I can. But overall for my business, I have to. One big piece of work is reviewing. I've got a very detailed 2020 plan that I created not so long ago, and it's just now not going to be that way. And so I need that. That's a big piece of work, actually, to look at that. But I'm focusing in on the things that I can do right now, and moving things forward that are things that I can do that I had planned to do later in the year. But overall, my commitment is to stay calm and carry on, is to stay present and then respond versus react, is to manage my self-care and manage the care of my family, and to trust that when we come out of this the other end, we, the collective we, will be hopefully in a better place, having learnt the lessons that this is here to teach us, whatever that is. Who knows what that is, but I really truly believe that everything that we experience has some big life lessons, and I feel like that's true in this moment too. So that's really it for what's been driving me this week in terms of how I'm responding to Rona. So my, imparting for you is, go slowly and thoughtfully. I ask you to tune into yourself and just ask yourself what you need right now and see if you can come up with an answer to that. Stay connected with your people, or stay connected with the people who empower you and really listen to you. Any of the things that I've shared with you, of course, see if there's anything that if it feels like something that you can take on that you've not taken on, that, I recommend you do that. But as a minimum, download the self-care inventory and at shirleymcalpine.com/self-care, download that, and then do the brief kind of questionnaire there and figure out what are the things that you're taking on for yourself to support yourself in this moment around your self-care. And then the thing is, of course, if you want to receive some love notes from me each and every day in your inbox, then sign up for my daily love notes, shirleymcalpine.com/love notes. But all of those links are in the show notes. Just go below and then click the link and then sign up. I am sending you lots and lots of love. And just go well and stay well. She's Got Drive is produced by Cassandra Voltalina. The music is by the awesome or female band Blonde. The song is called Circles. Until next time. Thank you for listening. Bye.